Hello, guy.
Hey guys, I'm Agnes.
And I'm Seth.
And we just got back from our honeymoon.
Yes. And guess where we went?
We first met in 2012. Little did we know that 5 years later, we would begin a journey of love and adventure that crossed 2 continents. Now we're married and living in the westwards of Iceland. We are Seth and Agnes. We went to Egypt.
And it was amazing. It was my first time in Egypt and her second time. The last time you were there, you were like, what, 10?
Yeah.
10 years old. So it had been a minute, several minutes actually. But it was an amazing trip. And we left Iceland after our wedding and went to Denmark actually because we had a day layover there. And what is significant about Denmark to you?
I grew up in Denmark.
That is pretty significant.
Yeah.
Copenhagen to be exact, which is where we had the layover.
Yeah.
So
That was perfect.
yeah, we got to bike around and see some of the sights there in Copenhagen.
We ate a really good burger. I just have to talk about the burger.
Oh, right.
They ran out of veggie patties, and so instead, they had these little triangular nacho chili cheese
Stuffers
things. Yeah. So they're like crispy on the outside, and then they had like cheese and chili on the inside, and they put those in our burgers instead of patties. It was amazing. If you haven't tried it, try it.
Not necessarily the most healthy, but it was really good. What did you say?
We don't need to talk about that.
So we are in the airport now, getting ready to board. Where are we going? Hurghada. Yep, we're gonna be staying at the.
Not his gotta. Hurghada.
Yes.
It's a 5-hour flight, and we were so tired we slept the whole way. It was about 32 degrees Celsius when we got there, which is somewhere in the 90s Fahrenheit. So it was a warm welcome.
Oh, and we flew over the desert, and I thought that was the coolest thing because I'd never really flown over that much desert.
Right?
Never. It's just like rocky mountains and sandy flatland. Just desert everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Egypt is actually 96% desert and 4% non-desert, and the non-desert goes along the Nile River.
Jimmy! But we just landed and we're at the airport and we just got on the bus and I'm freaking out because this is my first time in Egypt and I'm freaking out. It's so exciting.
Oh, that could freak me out.
Oh. Oh, you think I was scared?
Yeah.
No. No, it was just so cool to see the desert and the mountains. I've never seen mountains like that before. And I'm pretty sure we saw Mount Sinai, but I can't verify that. But anyway.
I'll have to look that up later.
So then we come through security and like they're so chill, like the border control was on their games, and then we go down to the baggage claim and there was this guy one of the workers riding the carousel round and round, so that was kind of confusing. But anyway, we're here in Egypt, so excited about this adventure. Are you excited?
Hvis vi bor på Makati Palace så hämtar vi upp er klockan 9:15 och vi går gemensamt till möteslokalen.
We stayed at Makati Palace in Hurghada. So Hurghada is on the western side of the Red Sea, and it was a beautiful place. It was my first time Might be my last time.
Whatever.
First time at a all-inclusive resort, and it was so nice because we didn't have to budget in for food. We just went and ate.
We just ate. We ate a lot. You ate a lot.
I did eat a lot.
We're at Thai Garden, which is a Thai restaurant at Makati Palace. An all-inclusive resort. We're not paying extra for this.
Where's our room from here?
Our room is right there. On the corner, the one that's not lit.
That's our room across the pool.
Across the pond.
Where are we going, babe?
It's a secret. We're gonna go get ice cream.
Alright, we just got our ice cream. Yay! We got it from the little store there, and now we are making our way back through the resort.
Eurovision.
Exactly. So this place is huge. It's like surrounded with tons of hotel rooms and restaurants and
Palm trees and pools.
and
Music.
yep, and music and just tons of cool stuff.
There were 5 pools.
They had 5 pools.
High five.
That's how many pools they had at Makati Palace. And then they had the beach area, and then a long pier that went out, and you could go swimming off the pier. And they actually had a little coral reef right there that you could go and swim and see the coral. And we never really swam there.
We did too.
We did.
We
And
went swimming
remind
there.
us why we didn't really swim there.
So I was scared of jellyfish.
These weren't the stinging kind, though.
No.
No.
No. But I was once stung by a jellyfish, and they hurt so bad. And there were probably 100 jellyfish coming in with the tide. There were a lot. So we did go snorkeling there, and we almost went all the way out to the end of the reef. But then I looked in the water, and I just saw a wall of jellyfish. And I just couldn't do it.
And she said, not today.
I tried to be brave.
She did? Yeah.
I couldn't. And I did touch a jellyfish. And a jellyfish swam in between us. And nothing happened.
Nope, it didn't. So we went on the Jeep safari out into the desert.
There were these, like, banks, I guess.
Sand dunes.
Yeah. And he really liked to go up on this side. And so we were pretty tippy on there for a little bit. That scared me. But then the rest of it was really fast and bumpy. And I wore 2 seatbelts.
Ahmad speaks a little bit English, so if you want to say go fast, you would say yalla yalla. Okay, you will say yalla yalla. Means go fast. When he puts his arm in the ceiling of the car, you can do the same. It means he will go over above. Okay? He goes over above.
Yeah, he drove so fast, and he drove like
Like you see in the old movies.
Well, or
you
like,
just know it's taken in a studio and they're just like.
or like what your kid, like what you think when you're a kid and you're like, baby drive, baby drive.
Then we stopped and we walked to the top of a little mountain cliff, and that was really neat. We got a nice panorama view of the desert. And then we had to run down a sandy hill. It said in the description to wear closed-toed shoes, but I only had sandals, so the sand was really hot on my feet, and I was not having it.
She wasn't.
I wasn't.
She was like, babe, it's hot, it's gonna burn me. I said, what did I say? I said I could carry you.
Yeah, you were gonna piggyback me.
She's
down.
like, no, you
And-
can't do that.
Yeah, I just.
And so I was like, what am I supposed to
So-
do? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, let me carry you. And you're like, no.
Stop. I'm not a good.
I thought that was a good rendition.
Did you? I don't think so. No, you wanted to carry me, and I didn't want that. And finally, the tour guide, who's Egyptian, yelled from the bottom for me to just run. And so Seth was like, take your shoes off and run. And I thought that was like the most ridiculous idea ever, because the sand was already burning my feet. Like, why would I take my shoes off? But I did it. And I took my shoes off and I ran down the hill. And it was warm. But I made it. So then we kept on driving for what? Like 20
2
more
days.
minutes? No. For 20 more minutes. And we got to the Bedouin village.
So the Bedouins that lived there, they were part of, I guess there are 2 types of Bedouins. One group that travels around very nomadic looking for food. And another group that just kind of settles down in one place.
Pass. Off. You have to get like it's a little bit small piece of. Yeah. You can try. We're in. Woo! تاني ماشي
That's where the Bedouins live. Over behind that hill is where the sheikh lives. He has like a little, he's the oldest, not the oldest, he's just a wise, older man who's like the leader of the community.
I got to ride a camel, which was really cool. I'd never been on one. Agnes had, but definitely unlike any other animal I've ridden, because I mean I've never gotten on a horse while I was lying down and had it get up. So, because that's not really kind to horses, but camels do that regularly. You load them up while they're lying down and then they get up. So that was kind of interesting, kind of an experience for me.
لازم ندوش الدوشة أدوش من دوشتها عشان ما تدوشناش.
Day 2
expedition was snorkeling on the Red Sea. And that was an amazing experience because the water was just amazing. Like literally the colors were so beautiful, and the coral reefs were cool too. How's the food?
I haven't tried it yet, but it looks amazing. I'm gonna take a little bite for you.
Okay.
Not bad.
اوراق المرأة ممدوح وانا جبت 15 يوم خلاص الدنيا باظت.
We're at Orange Bay, out in the middle of the Red Sea. It's just a sand island, and it's kind of like a bunch of small beams. You just walk and walk and walk, and it only gets to your knees.
So day 3, we went to Luxor.
That was an all-day trip. It was almost 5 hours driving one way. So they picked us up from the hotel at 5 o'clock in the morning and didn't drop us off till 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So it was a very long trip. But thankfully, we weren't driving, so we got to sleep.
We started out by driving through desert for probably about 2.5, 3 hours until we finally reached the Nile, and that was really cool because all of a sudden you see all of these farmlands and donkeys and horses, and were there camels? I don't think there were camels.
We saw one.
Yeah, and yeah, just like gorgeous landscape, but it was just a few miles wide.
Yeah.
And then it was just more desert. Once we reached the Nile River, we drove for another 2 hours through the countryside. And then we finally reached Luxor. And Luxor is really historically interesting because
It is the location of the ancient city of Thebes. And Thebes, for the longest time, was the seat of power in Egypt. The temple that we went to was the Temple of Karnak there in Luxor, which was separate from the Temple of Luxor. Karnak was actually dedicated to 3 different gods, the god Amun, his wife, and his son, and I don't remember their names right off, but each section of the temple was dedicated to the different god. We spent the greatest amount of time in the section dedicated to Amun, which was the greatest god there at Karnak.
We're going on a
Wollen wir ein
boat
Foto machen?
on the Nile River,
Ja.
and it's a shaded boat because right now it's 109 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 43 degrees Celsius, and we are toasting. But that's the Nile River.
لسه في ناس تانية خالد استنى. لسه. Why you are in hurry? Have you seen the water almost flooding out the room? So soon the water will look inside those villas and houses.
we crossed a river on the boat over to the west side, which was considered the death side because that's where the sun set or died every evening. And that's where the Valley of the Kings is, which is a bunch of tombs, awesome tombs.
Well, and the Valley of the Queens and
Yes.
the Nobles Valleys, basically all the cemeteries were over there.
And they call them the humble people's tombs, which is the commoners,
Yeah.
and
Everybody died on the west side.
everybody was taken to the west side once they died.
That's true. I don't know where they died.
And basically, we went to the Valley of the Kings, and it was just these mountains, and they had dug out these small homes inside the mountain, like underground. And so we walked down some stairs, and there were rooms on the right and the left. The walls were painted with these beautiful hieroglyphs, with these beautiful hieroglyphs. And this was because they thought that once they had died, at any point afterwards, they were going to get resurrected, and this was going to be their home.
And this is Key V5, King Valley number 5. There is a series of films on it about YouTube. You can find it on YouTube.
Is that who had 70 why?
This is
And that whole palace has this as an entrance. Just this little entrance goes into that entire palace.
the tomb of Ramses the Great himself.
No, what was it?
However, he got so
Ramesses
many
II,
subsidiary
that's
wives,
his
but he
tomb, and he was the one with 70 wives and 100 sons.
Oh!
Our next stop was the Temple of Hatshepsut.
Excuse you.
My word. Our next stop was the Temple of Hatshepsut.
Not sure if you said that right.
Yeah,
You did.
Hatshepsut.
Okay.
Hatshepsut. I probably slaughtered the pronunciation.
But it's Hatshepsut.
Hatshepsut. That was really pretty. Lots of stairs to climb up.
Once you got to the top of the stairs in the temple courtyard, you could look back and it was just an amazing view. And even though it was dry desert, apparently back in the day they had it irrigated and lots of plants. And in the distance you could see the Nile. So it was a very, very beautiful view. It was interesting because that temple was actually on the west side of the Nile.
White, second brown, and third is green. We bring the alabaster stone behind the mountain after Valley of the King, after about 17 or 15, 17 kilometers by camels and dogs. The big rock that is in this one by camel, small rock by dog. Here is the vase alabaster stone handmade after finish. How the weight? No charge for touch, don't worry. After finish to make a hole inside, you can see how this man is polished by fire because take more thinner vase, more thinner, it's more light. Last thing will be made by sandstone because you take it's very soft, very smooth, not ever move, never ever change. Sometimes have very beautiful cat, dog, camel, elephant, elephant in Egyptian cuckoo. Now thank you for listening. Let's go inside. Follow me please. This basalt stone and this alabaster machine made. Follow me please. It's blue, last dozen green malachite, and rose this is the granite. Wow. Answer is green. Oh.
So this alabaster jar was handmade in Egypt, so you can take a flashlight and light it up. There we go. That's the alabaster jar. It's a rock that is translucent and you can see inside of it.
It was a little bit of a longer trip home because the time that we went was Ramadan, which means that the Muslims don't eat from sunrise to sunset, and our trip home was during sunset. So our drivers actually stopped at a restaurant to get some food.